The parish of St Patrick's is shaped by its people, its priests and support staff, its volunteers, long-term parishioners and casual visitors. Those participating in the Eucharist and others just soaking up the mood. People come to be wed or to have their children baptised. People seeking silence and solitude, or reconciliation and counsel. People seeking food for the soul, and those just seeking.
I love to be able to have that time in silence and just to bring the Lord into my day.
I come here because there's the Spirit's here. Just draws a lot of people from all over Sydney. They come from the Central Coast, they come from all different suburbs to St Patrick's Church. It's true.
I've got an amazing sense of community, even though it's often people's second church, and it is also for me, but I think it's a real important church for Sydney Catholics.
This is the story of the community that is St Patrick's Church Hill. At this hour, every day of the year, a Marist priest opens the doors of St Pat's. It's an enduring symbol of invitation and welcome. This morning extended by Father Kevin Stewart.
And you realise that it's a place that it has a special place in the heart of Sydney because it's not like a traditional parish. It's perhaps more like a shrine.
On average, nearly 2,000 people will cross the threshold of St Patrick's during the week, and more than 1,500 at weekends.
It was the original working class people around the Rocks area. Then as the CBD sort of developed, it became more collar and tie kind of people would come especially at lunchtime masses. So it's like a river flowing. The water changes, but it's the same river.
One constant is parishioner Arthur Coorey. He's been coming to St Pat's at this time every morning for 2 decades.
Here I am on our Lord's table, getting ready for Mass.
Morning prayer precedes the 8 a.m. first Mass of the day. It's just one of the 39 Masses celebrated each week. In service of any and all who come to St Patrick's is a community of 6 Marist priests who live on site and a number of others who assist them. Those not involved in the first Mass of the day gather each morning for communal prayer. For Father Michael Whelan, being appointed parish priest in January 2016 was deeply significant.
It was something that, I don't know, I felt a certain sense of everything in my life has brought me to this point. It was quite a remarkable sense that more than ever I realised I'm on a journey. What I'm more acutely aware of now is I'm still becoming a priest. I'm still becoming a Marist, and this role of service with the people here at St Patrick's has really awakened me to that, and I love it.
Father Gary Reynolds is a former parish priest of St Patrick's. He oversaw the major restoration project of the 1990s, which not only involved the church, but a number of other historic buildings on site as well. It was a challenging time.
We were in a position where the parish had no reserve funds, really, and we had a very run-down plant that needed a total refurbishing.
The parish sold off a portion of land and also leased out several buildings, including the former presbytery. This would help finance the 6-year project and the ongoing life of the parish.
We began by renovating the crypt under the church, and then that became our church while the church itself was stripped out and fully renovated.
For more than a century, the Sisters of Mercy lived and worked on site. What was once their chapel now serves as the St Patrick's Courtyard coffee shop, welcoming parishioners, office workers and passers-by. Proprietor Michael Borromeo believes its former life influences the present.
Aside from making very good coffee, there's something about this place. This spirit, I guess, that the Sisters of Mercy left with when they left, like the spirit sort of stayed here, and it's just a holy place. People come here, they feel good.
The coffee shop is also the starting and end point for the regular St Pat's historical tours, conducted by staffer Rita Di Napoli. It's a role Rita finds deeply satisfying.
Just to be able to give back to people knowledge of what it means to be part of St Patrick's, part of living in this place here today, but also what it was like to have lived here so many years ago as well. So bringing together people in groups and bringing together different denominations into St Patrick's and letting them experience what it means to be part of the Christian faith, to learn about Catholicism, I feel is important, because by doing that we also learn about the sacrifices of someone before us who helped build these beautiful churches or cathedrals, and also not just building them from building point of view as in blocks of stone, but building them in communities. And I feel that in today's age, people have forgotten about what it means to be part of a community spirit.
For this group from Sydney South, the tour has been a big hit.
Well, I told our guide that I've been to a lot of places. I've had a lot of tour guides, and she's been by far the best I've ever had. I'm 85 today.
Rita's colleague in the office is Mona Radito.
I remember when I got the job, the former parish priest said that you would be the face of St. Patrick's. So as a parish secretary, I'm the frontliner, and I welcome everyone here in St. Patrick's and try to help them the best as I could. To me, being part of St. Patrick's community is more than just a job.
Across the courtyard, choir rehearsal is in full swing. The choral performance is a hallmark of Sunday's midday mass. Choir director and cantor Adrian Bent has been running the choir for 25 years. But his affiliation with St Pat's goes back much further. His mother was a chorister through Adrian's childhood.
For me, St Patrick's is kind of a second home, because I've been coming here, even before I was born I came here. My mother came here on her way to hospital. She wasn't very well before I was born, so she came in here and saw a priest and sort of said that St Patrick's would be looking after me, and it kind of has.
Pat Treflay has been a choir member for decades.
Singing for me in the choir has just been a life's work, and it's something that, when I've not been well and not been able to sing, it's part of me, it's not there.
It's been a long association too for musician Godeliva Gavalis. She's been 50 years an organist, nearly 20 of them at St Pat's.
It's so wonderful because I'm only one part of the equation. I am the accompanist, but along with what I do, I have the choir and I have Adrian leading it, and then we get the people's response to what we're doing, and that's very special to me because I know that music can lift the words off the page for a lot of people. Just bring more meaning, and if you can do that for other people, that's that's just a good thing.
For over 70 years, a quest for meaning has attracted students to the Aquinas Academy, one of the pioneer institutions of Catholic adult education in Australia. Its curriculum is eclectic.
And it ranges from, as you've seen, from poetry to social science to political science to history to theology, and our area is spirituality. But I think really critical here is the conversations that are generated through people's life experience with good material.
In 1945, Marist Father Austin Woodbury established the Academy for the formal study of theology and philosophy. Under the direction of Father Michael Whelan and Josephite sister Marie Biddle, the focus has shifted over time to spirituality and life formation, informed by a distinct ethos.
It was this dialogue, this conversation between faith and reason. Treat people as adults, get them to use their minds and think for themselves and build a mature conscience, but in the context of our faith tradition.
To become who they are.
Yep.
Just naturally and honestly. And that's what it's wonderful. They spark off the honesty of each other.
Yeah. I think in the matter of human development, the best teachers simply awaken in people what they already know but didn't know they knew.
Yes, that's true.
Once introduced, most participants return again and again.
And I can't imagine ever living without it as part of my regular routine, like doing the shopping and so on. It must be part of my life.
The CBD lunch period is a busy time at St Pat's. There are masses at tad after 12 and 1 each day. And on Wednesdays, many regulars attend the novena, a ceremony that honours Mary. For those seeking a more contemplative practice, there's Christian meditation in the crypt on Tuesdays. Initiated by Benedictine priest Father John Main, it's a form of prayer that focuses on the repetition of a single word in order to become closer to God. And on Thursdays, regulars gather to participate in the mysteries of the Rosary. Meanwhile, in the parish office, catechist Paul Gilchrist prepares to take devotion off-site. He conducts scripture classes at a nearby school. On occasion, the parish leadership team gathers off-site too. Members gather at the Hunters Hill Marist headquarters for a day of reflection, stock-taking and team building.
It's a time to connect outside of the work environment. Most of our planning is very functional, very organisational, very much what's the job to be done. We can stop here, we can listen to one another, we can be reflective and contemplative. There's not the same pressure to solve problems. It sets a mood which we can take back to the problem solving.
We can come together and we can hopefully think about how we can better our services to our parish and our community.
Helen Nejam is the appointed sacristan at St Patrick's. She's charged with ensuring the smooth running of the daily masses. Helen also looks after historical artefacts, some with fascinating lineages.
The Vespins originated in France and they were used at the wedding of Napoleon and Josephine. Cardinal Fesch was Napoleon's uncle and very high up in the church, as you would imagine in those times. They were then given by the French Marists to the Marist missionaries, who in turn gave them to the missionaries in Sydney, and they're over 200 years old and still in perfect condition.
For Marists, however, illustrious connections are not what being church is all about.
I feel the Marists identify with the ordinary man in the street. Everybody's welcome at St Pat's. Everybody has a kind word.
It's a view affirmed by Marist priest Father Fred Cado. He's previously served in Tasmania, Fiji and Vanuatu.
St. Pat's offers the type of possibility where you can come very anonymously, whether you're a judge or you're one of the big brokers here or just someone working in an office, and yet you can come together, just be there as a group, first as individuals, but slowly beginning to know that you're bigger than who you are and what you are, that you belong to a community of faith.
It's important for each of us to remember that we have a responsibility to be the hands and feet of God, and to be the light of Christ in society to those we meet.
Christine Pace is a member of another parish, but she often comes to St. Pat's.
I think it's one of the most beautiful churches in Sydney. It's been a part of my own personal family history. I used to come here every day throughout all my schooling, so daily mass here in the morning. So it has a nostalgic feel to me.
Today, Christine joins Luke and Alina Formosa. Luke runs the parish young adults group, which hosts a range of social and faith-based events, including regular barbecues.
I think it's incredibly important for people to see that they can get so much out of a faith community, and it's not just typical boring stuff. There's heaps happening. You're going to meet lots of people from all over the world, and you're going to be intellectually stimulated and spiritually satisfied, and it's a real community as well, and from that you'll meet other people and other events, and it just leads on to so many beautiful things.
A long-time member of the St. Pat's community is volunteer sacristan Rick Jukes. He's a man with many stories. A favourite is the tale of two police detectives called in after a series of church break-ins. One was non-Catholic, the other lapsed. Determined to catch the culprits, the pair spent a night in St. Pat's.
And they sat in the confessional box halfway down the church. And during the night, they found out where the people were coming in. The person that was doing the sealing was coming in. But the miracle of it all was the man sitting in the confessional box hadn't been to confession for years. He made his peace with God, and the other man became a convert.
A tireless member of the Marist community is Sister Fidelis McTighe. On Saturday mornings, she oversees breakfast for up to 90 guests from Sydney's homeless community, and is one of a number who holds Bible study classes.
And I think it's really important because we should be able to justify why we believe things and be able to quote the words of the Bible and the words of Scripture, which usually are the words of Jesus himself.
For me to come here as a complete stranger and then be welcome to speak here, indeed, it's an amazing thing. You have something going very good here, something that's not every church has, not every congregation has.
Sister Fidelis also runs the Rite of Christian Initiation Adults program that welcomes new members to the faith. But on any Sunday morning, you'll find her manning a stall in the courtyard of St. Patrick's.
The phrase that everyone recognises about St. Pat's is that it is an oasis, and I totally agree with that. The priests here, because it's run by a Marist community, the priests are always present, and you can feel the presence, It's a bit different to a parish where there's just one poor parish priest and he has to cope with everything, and he's not at the church all the time. But here, the priests are here, and there's a presence all the time. And of course, reconciliation is just amazing.
We offer the Sacrament of Reconciliation. There's a priest in the reconciliation room for 11 hours every Sunday, for 6 hours Monday through Friday, every Monday through Friday, and about 4 hours on Saturday. I think the Sacrament of Reconciliation is very important to everyone's spiritual journey. I truly do.
Canon lawyer Father Paul Hatchie was a judicial vicar in the United States for 22 years before beginning a 6-year stint at St. Patrick's. He and Marist confrere Father Bernie McFadden are celebrating what's known as the Second Rite of Reconciliation. The Second Rite is a communal sacrament with the individual confession of sins, imposition of penance, and granting of absolution taking place near the end of the ceremony. reconciliation is a significant feature of the St. Patrick's ministry.
More and more people tell me that they have a sense of, when they go to the Sacrament of Reconciliation, there's just something about that sense of welcome, that sense of not being judged, and it's just a wonderful celebration, and that's what the Sacrament of Reconciliation is supposed to be. And that's what that goes with that sense of mercy, and as Marists we try to perpetuate that sense of mercy.
People are aghast when we tell them we have up to 700 people coming to reconciliation a week, and that is so different from elsewhere, but we're happy to have that kind of ministry. It was started off here in the very early years of the French Marist fathers, and we've tried to keep it that way.
The first rite of reconciliation will always be the private encounter between priest and individual. For some, it offers counsel and support not otherwise available.
The obvious role for St. Pat's is it's had a long tradition of the Sacrament of Reconciliation. So it's been there in a sacramental moment to bring people together, to reconcile them with God, and as a community of faith to have that same sense of respect that's really the foundation of all renewal.
Well, we like to think that what we do is what Mary would have done in the house of Nazareth, and it's an encouragement, not a judgment on people, but an encouragement to go ahead with help, maybe from us, but from God through us.
Over the past 2 decades, revelations of historical child sexual abuse and the findings of the Royal Commission have rocked the Church and other institutions.
I think the Royal Commission was de facto prophetic, because the Royal Commission said to us, you claim to be this, but you're behaving in another way. Get back to being what you are.
In the wake of the Royal Commission, Michael Whelan approached lawyer and parishioner Teresa. She now volunteers as the Parish Safeguarding Support Officer.
My role involves supporting Father Whelan in building a new culture here at the church and just making sure that young children and vulnerable adults are protected. That includes risk assessment, helping with safeguarding practices, reporting anything, assisting people in reporting anything. So the role is evolving, but I think a lot of people inside the church are also feeling an enormous amount of confusion and distrust. Just being available, I guess, just being there for Father and for the community to build that trust is something that I find quite important to me as a Catholic.
One thing that the Royal Commission has prompted us to look at very, very seriously is how we can help those who are survivors and victims of sexual abuse. And it's not an easy question to respond to.
But the parish has made a start, establishing the Dymphna community, which meets on the second Saturday of each month.
Now, St. Dymphna is the patron saint of those who are mentally and emotionally distressed and those who have been sexually abused. It's a fairly free-flowing, informal kind of a gathering, not only for those who've been sexually abused, but others who wish to come and gather with them to give them support. And it's really finding our way month by month on that.
At the end of the day, the Marists gather for evening prayer and a shared meal. Though the church doors are closed at 6:15 p.m, life on campus extends well into the evening, with various parish and faith groups convening. One such gathering is the Legion of Mary, guided by Chris Lejanto. And every week, members of the young adults group get together to socialise, plan activities and enrich their faith. St. Patrick's is a busy place, but it's also a haven of peace and tranquility, and of community. These have been just some of the people who make it what it is. After 150 years of Marist care, St. Pat's continues to offer the riches of the Christian faith to those who come from far and wide.
Everything that happens here at St. Patrick's, I think, carries with it the years of 150 years of tradition. And I think that Marist spirit, characterised by the sense of letting people taste God, and the major taste of God is mercy. that's almost tangible. And it's part of the air that you breathe when you come into the church.
And I think going forward into the 21st century, where people have busy lives, something like St. Pat's that is an oasis and is almost always open and can cater to people's busy worlds is so important to keeping the church alive and thriving.
There are just so many people who are there helping us in our mission and ministry of welcoming people who come through the doors of St. Patrick's. So that's a sense of collegiality. We're all in this together on this spiritual journey.
It's amazing. This is the best church in the world. The best church in the world.